Hello, welcome back everyone. Welcome to our session entitled Seamless Scalability and Future Growth, the Role of DAM to Aggregate Collections. We'll be hearing from Susan Sarna from the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library. Susan joined the Presidential Library in 2023 as the Senior Curator of Collections. She's the former curator of Sagamore Hill National Historical Site, Theodore's home in Oyster Bay, New York. Susan has also managed a collection of over 250,000 objects that tell the story of Theodore Roosevelt and his family. Susan, over to you.
Thank you so much. So hi, as she said, I am Susan Sarna. I'm the Senior Curator of Collections for the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library. I am here today to present to you Building a Legacy, the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library's digital transformation, building a digital archive for Roosevelt's life and impact. I have had the privilege of working in museums, mostly for the National Park Service, for the past 35 years. When I started my career, we were typing up catalog cards and using carbon paper to make extra copies. I know I may not look it, but yes, I've been in there doing it for a couple of years. Next came the DOS-based management programs, and soon we moved on to the web-based versions. Things certainly have improved and continue to advance. The DAM systems of today are opening doors to enable curators, collection managers, media specialists, and researchers use the data maintained in new and innovative ways. So let's talk about the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library. The TRPL, as the shortened version of it, is a transformative endeavor poised to honor one of America's most intriguing and influential leaders. Theodore Roosevelt helped shape the narrative of our nation's history, and we seek to honor him by creating a library that tells the story of his entire life and serves as a platform to educate and inspire future generations in leadership, citizenship, and conservation. On July 4th, 2026, the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library will open to the public. This destination in the Badlands of North Dakota, where TR ranched, will reflect how TR's legacy in leadership, engaged citizenship, and conservation continues to provide important lessons for today's world. The building will reflect TR's conservation beliefs and was designed to not mar, but enhance the landscape. Like Americans today, President Roosevelt faced enormous social, technological, and political upheaval in his time, and he consistently chose to get in the arena and to face these challenges. The TRPL will embrace immersive storytelling and new technologies, making it a digital library for an analog president. Visitors will learn from, not just about, but from President Roosevelt. Our greater mission is to make the TRPL a place that promotes civic understanding and productive dialogue in the very landscape and environment that transformed and inspired Theodore Roosevelt. The library will offer an experience, a combination of a narrative gallery and hands-on experience galleries with high-tech, state-of-the-art exhibits. Holograms and videos will cover the chapter of TR's life, such as his childhood, young adulthood, his time in the West, leading the Rough Riders in Cuba during the Spanish-American War, the path to the presidency, his own presidency, the 1912 campaign, and his final adventure on the River of Doubt in the Amazon in South America. But we are realistic in understanding that not everyone will be able to travel to Medora, North Dakota. This is why we are trying to push the envelope to bring TR to the masses with the help of companies like Terentia. So the TRPL didn't start with an existing collection of historic documents and artifacts. The library began with no collection and has been building it from the ground up. So as you can see, the library is not your traditional presidential library. There will be artifacts, yes, there will be some archives, but the library will include a temporary exhibit hall, 300-seat auditorium, a gift shop, cafe, Classrooms and offices, and a half-mile walking path in front of the library will give visitors an opportunity to explore the Badlands. Another way the TRPL is not a traditional library is we do not have all of TR's papers, nor will we ever physically own these papers. Theodore Roosevelt, in his lifetime, gave his papers to the Library of Congress and Harvard University, where they are currently professionally cared for and made available to the public. Other institutions like the National Park Service and, of course, private collectors make up the rest of TR's collection. So how does one go about creating a presidential library when we do not have the physical artifacts that generally make up a collection? Enter Terentia. In 2024, our mission was to find a collections management software program to organize the small collection the library had begun to collect and to connect that small collection we had with the Roosevelt scattered material from libraries, universities, and private collectors. We wanted to make these materials easily accessible to researchers, students, and the public, and to keep track of where the materials came from, and of course, to respect the rights of the original owner. Our solution is to create a central online system where researchers can access Roosevelt materials from several different sources. And to make sure we track the source and rights for each item and build a scalable system that can grow as we add more material over time. So how do you build a digital archive when things are scattered? The library is not just collecting physical items, but it is also focused on digitizing materials for easy access. The system will allow researchers to view materials from many sources in one place. It'll keep track of who owns what and the rights to use those materials and help with creating online exhibits and digital storytelling. The TRPL's first acquisition was the Edmund Morris Archives, a collection of approximately 28 linear feet of archival papers pertaining to his 3-volume biography of Theodore Roosevelt and about 100 artifacts of related material, all of which laid the foundation for the library's growing collection. The first step was digitizing and organizing the Morris Archives. Next, we began creating and establishing protocols for how to add new materials from different sources and develop a clear process for adding and managing new collections. How do we bring all of these materials from the multiple sources? We start by harvesting the data through APIs and other means. We will organize and label materials in a way that makes it easy to find and understand. We use smart tools to link documents together, making it easier for researchers to find connections. We will ensure each item has clear information about where it came from and who owns it. Using technology to help catalog your collection must embrace new technology. As we gather and digitize Roosevelt's materials, we will introduce AI and OCR. This will help process and organize the documents. AI helps turn handwritten letters and notes into text that can be searched. TR wrote over 150,000 letters, and a majority earn his own handwriting with no transcriptions done at this point. AI can help us automatically add tags like dates, names, and locations to make documents easier to find. It'll help us find hidden connections between materials that researchers might not see at first glance. And it can even help read difficult handwriting and match it to other documents. TR wrote every day, and he wrote in very difficult conditions, while he was on hunting trips, while he was in safaris, while he was in the middle of battles. And that, therefore, his handwriting wasn't always, shall we say, readable. And we're hoping the OCR will be crucial in helping us transcribe these letters that have not been transcribed to this day. Faster cataloging is one of the ways these tools will help us process documents at a more efficient rate. This more efficient rate, getting things cataloged, will allow researchers to get to work faster. Even old and faded materials can be turned into text and searched easily online. And AI will help us link related documents, giving researchers new insight. Exactly what do we need in a system? The system will allow us to bring in materials from many different sources, as I've said, including private collectors. And you would be amazed at the breadth of artifacts in private collections. And we discover new collections every day. These new collections in private collections that have never been out will be accessible to users. It will have clear tools to track rights and usage permission for each item. It will be able to grow as we add more materials in the future, and it will make it easier to find documents, images, and objects by tagging them with important details. And the system will manage public and private access to materials depending on who is using them. So the TRPL, we reviewed about 10 different collection management systems and dam systems. Through a quick evaluation, we realized that more than half of them did not support the basic needs like APIs, or the ability to create specific metadata models we needed, and to also fill the role of an archive management system all rolled into one. An additional consideration was how were we going to be able to allow the private collections to be in the same database as the other collections from institutions. We asked our vendor to do simple proof of concept to show how the collections data and the digital asset could work in the same system while keeping the collection and the marketing and exhibition asset together and separate at the same time. We chose our digital asset management and collection management system because it handled all of these needs. It's built to adapt to different sources and manage rights and permissions still at the same time. It's a cloud-native modern system, so we can work with other institutions and grow the collection over time. Why rights matters? This is just so important. Different materials are owned by different people or organizations. They are not all owned by the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library, and we need to respect that. Some materials can be freely shared, while others will need permission to be used. It is also important to track exhibition and publication rights for anyone wanting to use material. The system automatically will track rights, ensuring we have permission to use the materials. We can set different levels of access based on the user. For instance, the 8th grade reader who's doing a report on Theodore Roosevelt, his access might be slightly different than an institutional access. The system helps us manage licenses for public use, exhibitions, and publications. What are the benefits of this system? The program will create one place to access everything related to Roosevelt's life. As I like to say, this is one-stop shopping for all TR things. You won't have to log into the database at Harvard, log into the Library of Congress, and then maybe log into Emory University, which also has a large collection, which is not even accessible online at this point. The advanced search tools will make it easier to find the right materials and contains collaboration tools to work with other researchers and add comments. The program will provide easy access to digital images and documents for exhibits. It will have well-defined rights and permissions to ensure everything is properly licensed, and it will possess tools and APIs for creating virtual exhibits and online educational resources. Mostly, we want to create a user-friendly, free program for students, educators, and historian or history lovers, all online. It will contain interactive resources like virtual tours and visitors, and have learning tools to explore Roosevelt's life through digital storytelling. Most importantly, we need to protect the archive for the future. We use secure cloud storage to keep everything safe and accessible. We have backup systems to protect against data loss and MD5 checksums for preservation, including archival storage. What are the next steps for the TRPL and our new DAM system? The TRPL started with nothing, but is now creating an important digital archive. Our system will gather materials from many sources while making them easy to find and use. And we will manage rights and access to keep everything legal and accessible. The TRPL will continue building partnerships to add more materials, to find more hidden collections that have not been put on the internet yet. We will begin developing online exhibits and learning resources and continuing digitizing new materials and improving our system with new technology. Thank you so much.
Much, Sue, for a great presentation on what's happening at the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library. Have quite a few questions coming in. There's a question around tracking rights and how are you all thinking about using your dams to track rights?
So the system will have built-in spots where it will say publication. It'll be clearly defined. So right now it'll have basic pages with your collections management information, like your object name, your description and such. And then it will have a whole nother section with just publication rights. So for instance, if a private donor, a private loaner wants to put something on, but he doesn't want that published, that won't show up then to somebody who's searching for it. If he doesn't want that published, it'll only be there for researchers. It won't be accessible to somebody if he doesn't want it published.
Understood. There's another question that came in. It says, have you encountered any resistance from other organizations when asking to link to their content? Do you have concerns about consistent quality?
Interesting that I've started with the private donors, and they are so excited. And this is what has given us such a breath of hope for all of the other institutions, because the private owners are like, well, why are we doing this then? We are here to protect, preserve, and educate. And it doesn't educate anyone if it's sitting in our basement. The only way to get it out there is to get it online. And because they're so excited, we're really, really hopeful that we will be able to get everyone online also.
Absolutely. There's another question that's, do you have a CMS or is your DAMS acting as your collections database?
Sorry, you broke up on that one.
I'm sorry. They said, do you have a CMS or is your DAMS acting as your collections database?
It's going to be both.
Okay.
The way this program is written, it will be our collections management system and the DAM all rolled into one. It'll be, like we said, not only one-stop shopping for TR, but one-stop shopping for the social media people, for the researcher, for the person who decides they want to sell something in the gift shop. They can then go look through and say, oh, look, here's a game. It'll describe, we own the rights to that. We can now use that. It'll all be in one spot.
There's another question that says, what challenges has your new DAM and CMS helped you overcome?
Well, unfortunately, since we're not, all the data's not here yet, I can't answer that because we haven't had to overcome anything yet because we're just in the process of doing it now.
Yeah. Same for us. I can share that even at the King Center, our kind of DAMS journey was a first for us. So there's always more to learn. I'm looking through the questions here. Let's see. We asked that one. There's a question around images. Are you integrating lots of different image sources, or are you using international image interoperability framework to enable third parties to link and to create scholarship from the images?
Love the question, and I'm sorry that is an answer that Terentia would have to answer. A little too technical for me. I know there's images in it. There's wonderful images in it. And I know that the images that are in there, we can have one saved, and then one, if our media person wants to mock it up, there'll be a whole section in it that he can do that. He can write on it. He can do anything. And our original image will be saved the entire time. And so nobody can go in and just destroy what we have, the original image. Hope that helps.
Excellent. Absolutely. There was I'm trying to find the presidential question that was asked. Seem to have lost it on my screen. Let's see here. Okay. There's a question that says, is it ideal that this would eventually be rolled out to all other presidential libraries? So I assume the person's asking about the use of a DAM system. Is it ideal that this would eventually be rolled out to all other presidential libraries? And are you aware of what other presidential libraries are doing?
So there's two different types of presidential libraries we should discuss. We have some that are from FDR on. Those are run by Library of Congress, and they do have a system themselves. It is pre-FDR. That's when TR falls in, George Washington, Lincoln. Those presidential sites are not owned and controlled by the Library of Congress. So we are hoping that our example can be used at the presidential libraries that are not part of the Library of Congress.
So that's interesting. I wasn't aware of that history. So there's post FDR and then pre FDR. And I'm just curious for my own knowledge, why is that?
The law started, when it started during FDR, it stated that there will not be, government funds will not pay for anything prior to FDR. So that's why our library, George Washington, this is all private.
Understood. I'm curious, when you think about how your institution remains sustainable, what does your fundraising look like? This has been a consistent question kind of across some of these cultural heritage institutions, but how do you all fund your work?
It's an ongoing daily thing. That's for sure. Luckily for us, Theodore Roosevelt is very, he engages people and he inspires people. So when we talk to people, and they most of them do quote Theodore Roosevelt. So it's a little easier for us sometimes to say, look at what he's done. Look how we can inspire future generations. And we can get people on board a little bit easier than some other institutions can, because they do realize the importance of educating the future with Theodore Roosevelt's words.
So another question related to presidential libraries. Are there scenarios where these libraries and archives work together? So for instance, is there a scenario where the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library would be working with the, George Bush president? Do you have scenarios like that where there's cross collaboration?
Well, we certainly hope to. When I worked for the National Park Service, Theodore Roosevelt didn't have a presidential site. So Sagamore Hill was one of the spots where his main collection was. I worked closely with all the Library of Congress presidential sites. They do ongoing different exhibits, and they usually incorporate all the presidents in a lot of these exhibits. So I loan to those institutions constantly, and I definitely foresee that to continue happening. And I'm hoping that we can connect in a better way online for those people that are in different countries that will never have the opportunity to come visit us, but they can come and connect to different spots using this program.
Precisely. I say at the King Center, we have an on-site archives, and it's impossible for 1,000 people to be in our archive. However, it is entirely possible for 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 people to visit an online repository or site. So the way in which this technology enables us to scale the accessibility of not only our collections, but the different stories that we can tell from our collections is absolutely remarkable. I might dare say selfishly that I would love to see, with all of these presidential libraries, if there was a centralized location where you have storytelling and digital exhibitions, with all of these presidential libraries. I think that would be a great project. The question came in that says, how has your team responded to the new software?
Oh, actually, the software is incredible. It is super easy. Most people, most archivists or museum technicians or curators, they're used to using some sort of a database software at this point, but it's very user-friendly. It really is. It's not difficult at all, and it saves time. Like I said, I wish I had something like this when I started typing away my first catalog cards. And do you know how hard it was to find something with a catalog card that was typed? Yeah. I mean, the advances are just amazing. The thought that I can put in a word like citizenship, and the AI will be able to get every time TR used the word citizenship in any letter, and then have, say, these are the different definitions. This is the way he used it. I mean, it's incredible. We can change maybe a lot of the thoughts that we've had over the years because we're going to be able to access materials that we've never accessed before. And we can then figure out different things. We might have different hypotheses and theses on things now because we have the opportunity to dig deeper.
Yeah, I know it's been great for us going from an analog to a digital kind of way of doing things, to be able to access everything you need kind of all at once. At any given time, I can pull one box off of the shelf, but it's great to be able to go into our dams and type in, like you said, citizenship, or type in, civil rights, or type in a particular term related to the civil rights movement and pull up all of the hundreds, of assets at one time. There's a last question, if we can.
Well, think about it too. So we have Theodore Roosevelt had a lot of different things go on with Booker T. Washington. Now, say Booker T. Washington now, Martin Luther King said something about Booker T. That Precisely. Somehow we can connect everything now, and you can just go down a rabbit hole of information. I mean, the possibilities are endless to think that TR would be able to connect to the King Center. And that's just an amazing fact that that's where we're heading towards.
It's remarkable. We have a last question here. Question says on how long it took in your selection process and how you narrowed down your selection process related to your dam. And then the part 2 of that is the use of your dam just narrowed to, is it just collections using the system, or will other departments use your dams as well?
Okay. So we took about 8 months of interviewing a lot of different systems. We came up with this system because of the reasons I stated, that it was a collections management system and a digital asset management system in one. On those calls, what we did right away, it started with just myself and a computer person. We then started adding our media specialist. We started adding our donor, the people in the donor, so they could, and they started asking questions. And then when we finally picked our final, all of those people got on that call with our final Terentia, and they showed us how all of us, every single department, can use parts of this collection, parts of this program to help them do their job. So it's an amazing resource, the one-stop shopping, like I said. So every resource, I actually am not even on some of the meetings because the media guy is now having them design sections so he has exactly what he needs in his department. So it's endless, the possibilities.
Absolutely. Well, we'll close out here. We are at time. Thank you so much, Susan, for your time. There's a comment that says, I have a TR bear from Madara. I see a small one in your background. Thank you for the fantastic info you have provided. Thank you so much, Susan.